A scatter plot is when a data set with x and y values are plotted on an axis, like the scatter plot shown on the piece of paper. When analyzing a scatter plot, there are four main things to keep in mind. These are direction, form, outliers, and strength. The direction just tells us whether or not there is a positive or negative association between the variables. If the association is positive, then as one variable goes up, so does the other. A negative association is the opposite, where one variable goes down, the other goes up. The form of the scatter plot is just sort of the pattern it follows. Could be slightly curved, it could be a straight line. And the strength of the scatter plot just tells us how well it fits to this form. And the outliers are points that skew from the form, that are different from it, and these could potentially impact the regression line. Points that do substantially impact the regression line are known as influential points. These are similar to outliers, but they are not always the same thing. In the least squared regression line is the line that is used to summarize the scatter plot that minimizes the squared value of residuals. I will explain what residuals are in a moment. The equation for this least squared regression is y hat equals a plus bx. Y hat just means it's the predicted y value, with a being the y-intercept and b being the slope. B is also equal to the correlation times the standard deviation of y divided by the standard deviation of x. And the R value that was mentioned above is the correlation. It is between -1 and 1, or equal to in some extreme circumstances, and it just tells us how well the data fits to a linear pattern, with -1 and 1 being perfect fits and 0 being no linear pattern at all. A positive correlation means that there is a positive association. R squared is the determination coefficient. This is what tells us. It tells us that the fraction of y value is explained by the least squared regression. So for example, if r squared equals 0.5, then 50% of values would be explained by the least squared regression line. A residual is the observed piece of data subtracted from the predicted value that would be given to us by our least squared regression line. A positive residual means that the line under-predicted, and a negative residual means that the line over-predicted. S is the average value of residuals, or the standard deviation of residuals, and it tells us how far off the average point was from the regression line, so a smaller S value would indicate a more accurate line. And one really important point of this unit is that association and causation are not always linked. Just because two variables are associated with each other, it does not necessarily mean that one variable caused the other.